THA election. We have 4 parties on paper that is contesting this election. We have the TPP, the Tobago People's Party. We have the PNM, the People's National Movement. We have the IDA, what's the...
Innovative Democratic
Alliance. And of course, PDP, Patriotic... Right. Anyway, Watson Duke. All right, so let me...
Well, as you mentioned, Watson Duke, of course. So we heard, following the address from the Prime Minister when she visited Tobago, we heard the minority leader, Kevin Morris, saying that it was, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's more or less saying that it was to give the TPP a leg up heading into the elections and so on. But Watson Duke, of course, he spoke out and he mentioned the fact that they welcome the license and so on. But where's the PDP in the context of everything? Because, and why I asked the question in 2021, and of course times change and we all witness what happened since the fallout, but in 2021, that balance between Watson Duke as the leader and Fali Augustine worked clearly. Where does the PDP fit in the equation, just based on your political lens, Dr. Mohammed?
I think one of the things that I must give him credit for, Watson, there is, Watson, if you're looking on,
and just before you continue, the Patriotic Democratic
Party,
the Progressive Democratic Patriots,
right. The Progressive Watson, if you're looking on, the statesmanship that you exercised in the presence of the Prime Minister should sustain. And the statesmanship that you exercised at the reception held by the Prime Minister, you should sustain. And I think the country, not just Tobago, but Trinidad and Tobago, will hold you in higher regard as a statesman who, in your own words, led a revolution, and by your own body language and behavior, you are proud of that revolution. And therefore, from what I understand, from your pride and your expression of that pride, you wish for the revolution to continue. And if I've read it right, then I would suggest to Watson that he continues his statesmanship, steps into the role as an elder to those that are in the TPP now, lend a voice of reason and a reasonable voice of advice, mentor where it requires mentorship. But my question now is, given his admission that it is a revolution, and by his words alone, he's given them legitimacy, why not just allow the PDP to be the vehicle that was responsible for creating the wave and the revolution, and there's no need for the PDP.
So you're saying he should rejoin or to be part?
He does not need to even rejoin. If he doesn't agree to the philosophy, that's fine. There are men that have come before him. There are leaders that have come before him that have read the politics to know that the sun has set on that incarnation. I mean, we've had all these parties evolve, right? This is just another evolution.
But he's asking the PM for work. He's asking.
So go to Trinidad and get the work that you've applied for, and remain in that space of statesmanship. I really wish it holds for him. And then, allow the TPP to continue on its.
So it doesn't make sense that the PDP contest this THA election?
Because by virtue of the general election, it showed you clearly, and by his expression, his statement, his words, his demeanor, he rose to. I had to put on my glasses because I said, I had to clean the ears. I said, but this is, and for the fact that I, who have been one of his biggest critics, can say it to him, and credit must be given. The man stood as a statesman and a proud father of a group of revolutionists, and therefore allowed the revolution.
The thing is, Brother B, and I just remembering, because we had a conversation with the Chief Secretary some weeks ago, and that is before they would have announced the candidates. But he did say right here on set that if the candidates are not up to scratch, there may be need to to introduce certain
Yeah.
is that a possibility?
In politics, nothing is impossible. and it's as fluid as water running in a river. So therefore, you know, that's why we don't say things with definition all the time, and because sometimes we have to reverse that. But I do believe that, you know, in the national landscape, Watson Duke has etched himself, and therefore, you know, he has risen to statesmanship. So I don't know if there's a need to cause any more division by having a PDP element, because, you know, let it just flow into to the other, as has all other parties flowed into a new incarnation. And that's also something that's very unique to Tobago space. So that's that. Who are we talking about? Anti-IDA?
Idea. Let's bring idea to
the anti-IDA needs to, as I said before, it is anti-IDA, right? It is anti-IDA. Yeah. Anti-IDA also has decisions to make.
Okay.
You cannot be consistently contesting elections to lose your deposit. That makes no sense.
Okay.
And yes, I understand Dr. Soyafat Angus wanting to contribute to the Tobago's dialogue and in its governance and the national conversation. But the idea as an ideology has not picked up traction over the years. A party is supposed to grow. If it doesn't grow, it becomes stagnant and then it dwindles away. That's a reality people need to accept. And the reason why I say it, because anti-IDA, the word IDA, the acronym IDA, has resonated. It is like your good old auntie that you like, you know. You go by she on a Sunday morning, you get her on a Sunday lunch, you pick up your little calorie, your macaroni pie, you talk to her, she say some prayers for you, and you check in with her.
Yeah.
But it's that auntie in Charlottesville ain't looking for a seat, right? She will sit down and give you a little talk about what's going on in the village and that kind of thing, and you go on your merry way. Denise needs to figure out, is it that she's continuing in the politics? Then pick a side. And if you're not continuing the politics, then stay within your practice. You're still recognized. I mean, she's hold office. She's hold offices. You know, she's respected. Again, what is the value that you bring at this stage? People can't just be lining up to lose deposits. That's making no sense. You have $5,000 to give the government every time, or the country. So no, let's be realistic about the politics. It's down to 2.
All right.
And just for context, we're definitely speaking about the THA elections.
Red versus blue.
Interesting.
Red versus blue. All right. So we have a leader in Tobago that is not necessarily popular among his followers. Deceitfully, they are pretending that it's okay. That's the talk on the ground. They don't really want Ansel Dennis as leader. They rather take a chance, and there are some names that they call to me and other people. You have Hislop. You have the present minority leader, and I think Shamfa name come up from time to time, the lone female that I think that they are considering to be their leader. They are saying if they go with Ansel again, he's going to lose, leading this party into losing this election. Speak to that as to what is the best option for the PNM now. Even this late hour, obviously we saw what happened with Biden and Kamala Harris, and at the last minute that they decided, can the same work here? If it is that the PNM really gives true consideration to whether Ansel Dennis is the best choice. Just the same, they are still questioning Penelope in Trinidad. Bring that into perspective and see what is the best option for the PNM at this night hour.
Anybody with microscope lens that is looking on at Penny Beckles in her role right now should understand that there are certain things that needs to be settled within the People's National Movement as a whole. And that's why I started the conversation about which version, right? I mean, let us be real. Dr. Rowley has continued to be a presence in the People's National Movement, as well as his sidekick. And as long as there's they are actively existing in the party, they are also going to be actively disrupting the direction of the party. I make no apologies for that, right? There are persons within the People's National Movement who did not agree with the levels of governance, with the approach to governance, with the lack of governance, with the lack of delivery, given that you were you had the privilege of serving for 10 years, that are happy that the PNM that they belonged to lost the election. The PNM has not gathered itself. They've not coalesced. Mr. Ember talked about the reasons why, but he's probably one of the main reasons why, right? So he has to look in the mirror, not just look at the podium and talk to people. But the point is, the PNM as it exists right now is very broken. It is fractured. They need to fix their business. They need to close ranks, sit down in a room, let go all the steam that they're holding in because somebody brain might bust, right? Cuss each other because I don't think they get enough time to cuss each other properly. Let it off their chest and then go back to the drawing board and to figure out what are we going to do going forward into local, into general, to come again and whatnot, right? That's one aspect of it from a national perspective. Coming into the Tobago context, I have people in the Tobago Council that I have regard for. But the point is, who is your leader? And I've asked the PNM this nationally, and I'm now asking the Tobago Council, who is really your leader? Because, yes, the Prime Minister came to Tobago, as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Has the opposition leader come? I can't recall. And if I can't recall, that says something, right? Is she intending to come? Has she been asked to, So those are the small intricacies we have to pay attention to. So deciding at this 11, as you rightfully say, at this 23rd hour, and 45 minutes, there we go, right? It's 23 hours and 45 minutes. You want to decide whether it would be Lawrence Hislop or Shamfa Kojo or Ansel Dennis. That is too late. You already chose. The day you lost the election was the day that all should have, the pipeline should have bust. Everybody should have just come out and say enough is enough. We need to put our house in order. This is now 7 months after general election. You always knew that a THA election was pending. Win, lose, or draw the general. I don't know if they anticipated the tensions would have been so high. And I don't think they anticipated that the animosity among them would have been so high. And if them they cannot tell me that they because I will call names, right? They cannot tell me there is not animosity. There is animosity within, that they have not settled among themselves. And the bottom line is, even the grassroots supporters are seeing it, but they are also feeling it. And they felt the bad governance of the PNM. So they would probably say, you know what, let me just rock back, relax, and take what Tanti given me as Prime Minister. We didn't get that under this man for all these years. And I mean, people like to cuss and call Twiggy, but I always use Twiggy as a staple, right? Twiggy is an asset to the PNM because she calls it as it is, and sometimes you need that, right? So maybe we should plan Twiggy in Tobago and let you bust some cuss in them and tell them as it is, right? And ring she bell.
But somebody candidates
listen, now, so okay, let's go for leadership for now. Too late. Lawrence should have made that play earlier. I thought he would have. And sometimes
he would have been a better leader.
These boys need to understand. I'll tell you, I'll come down to Calvin for a second too. These boys should have been positioning themselves in political reality. They were caught up in government and the perks that came with it. So they were in a very utopian state. It's very unrealistic. In some instances, some of them don't believe that they was going to get the cutting that they got. They didn't think that they were going to lose. After you lost, you should have teared it apart and rebuilt it almost as quickly as possible, because seasons come in. That's one. I don't know if Shamfa is ideal. I mean, Shamfa is McGill. I mean, I wouldn't lie. We talk, we laugh, we bounce up, we hug up, But I don't know if Shamfa wants it, if it's something that she aspires for. Because one must first want it, because if you don't want it and it's trusted upon you, you may struggle. And then, until Tobago, you've been there, done that. Oh God, man. That is the truth. They've been there, they've done that, they've experienced it. It's not
Talbot Morris.
we are in 2025. In 2023, I said to Calvin, I said, you don't understand your own value. I said, I'm telling you this as your friend. You were the lone man that stood up when everybody fall down. And I was saying, and I want to share this to you all. Sometimes we don't, in politics especially, we go simply as the underdog. And we don't go with the aspiration to be Prime Minister, Opposition Leader, Chief Secretary. However, when the results are in, you may find yourself having to step into a role you did not envision. A very, very pertinent point here, example, is Mr. Manning in 1986. He was young, he didn't hold a lot of ministerial experience, but the responsibility fell on his lap to rebuild. He didn't turn and give it to Muriel. He didn't turn and say, well, they're senior to me. It came on his lap. He took it and he ran with it, and he won in 5 years thereafter. And the history shows what the result is. If PNMites are following their history, they will understand the value in knowing one's worth. And I said to Calvin, pick up the mantle, own it, because you stood as the Lone Ranger when everybody who had more experience than you fell down. I don't know if he's positioned himself. He's played second fiddle to Ansel over the years, and now it's too late to
right, let's go to the TPP, the Tobago People's Party, as we get ready to wrap. Now, Farley Augustine, phenomenal leader. That term has been, given the fact that he would have taken this party and ran with it, won a general election. Now he's heading to win based on what all experts like yourself are saying. Him as leader, where do you see him taking the TPP? Obviously, we are expecting to get the autonomy. However, that steps into a different arena of leadership. Does he possess the acumen to to step into that zone? Because that's a total different. He's basically going to be Prime Minister of Tobago, basically. He's doing a fantastic job now, based on all the comments you're hearing from the viewing people. I heard him spoke at University College in New York just recently, and I saw somebody that I never saw before, given that he was in an international forum. But let's speak of his leadership leading from general election to now and beyond.
So I have to give him credit because he was up against a senior politician as Prime Minister. And he met him at that level. And somebody else might have cowered because it's seniority in Tobago, that our culture in Tobago still remains, there's respect your elders and that kind of thing. In that way, he stood up, not as in a disrespectful manner, but manos a manos, right? Demonstrating that I can meet you at the level. In politics, there's always room for improvement in leadership. And leadership requires consistency in communication. I beat the PNM for this for 10 years, that their communication to the people of Trinidad and Tobago was terrible and very much underused. I accused the former Minister of Communication of collecting a salary and not doing the work. Nobody knew who he was, that he was even the Minister of Communications. Point is this: communications must be consistent. I see the frameworks that they've put in there. I listen to him speak. He speaks very articulately. He's able to still connect, but you have to be mentally prepared to go to the next level. And he has not shown that he doesn't have promise. He hasn't demonstrated that he has dropped the ball. I will also say that when you are young in the politics, as he is, and he's probably one of the fastest climbers in political history, he has to also be aware that discernment, a spirit of discernment, is very important in leadership, because not every friend you can take with you up the stairs, because they may very well be, in your empathy towards them, in your concern and care towards them, taking them up the stairs with you, they may turn into a burden. And I'm saying that to him because I have to take that same advice, right? So I'm not giving him advice I have not given myself. Not everybody that you saw or walked the journey with you from whenever, wherever, can stand among you now, because you also, as a leader, must understand. Mr. Pandey understood it, Mr. Manning understand it, and to a lesser extent, so does Watson, right? I give credit where it's due. You have to understand people's strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats that they bring to your leadership and they bring to your vision. And therefore, in the decisions to be made with regard to who goes up where, discernment is important, talent is important, capacity, mental capacity, intellectual capacity, operational capacity is important, because I envision that it's about taking Tobago to the next level.
Excellent.
48 nominees to be screened.
Absolutely fantastic competition. I'm hearing that it is impressive, that there are so many people that are excited about it. Not everybody will be selected, but I do, and the fact that there are 4, if I'm not mistaken, that are uncontested, that says a lot. Ms. Charles Panton, the Deputy Chief the Chief Secretary, and one more person have no competitors. That alone says to you that...
So we in Clark.
There you go. So that alone tells you that these 4 individuals really and truly stood out as representatives in their area. And my message to those that are incoming and those who have aspirations, I gather there's a lot of young people. You now need to elevate yourself to the point where you are now, you elevate yourself, whether by your branding, whether by your communication, whether by your interactions, whether by your use of name, all of these things. You now need to elevate yourself and start positioning yourself as a potential candidate / assemblyman.
Excellent.
But Tobago, I believe, is, from what I see, from the Tobago that I saw many years ago to now, the world is waiting for you.
Very good. All right, Dr. Mohammed, we're indeed happy that you joined us, and we got so much this morning, and you call it as you see it, and we really want to thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.